What's up? There we go. Too much music, not enough microphone, more microphone. Oh, not enough headphones. That's what's wrong. Just not have my headphones at a comfortable level. There we go. Now it sounds like the show. What's happening? Writer Radio, episode 230, presented by Brian Janik at thefinancialguys.com. Two guests today. Scott Wilson's our regular Friday and Monday guest, but today's Friday, so that's one of them. So he'll be here about 11 o'clock. And our old good friend, Paul Hamilton. The Sabres have won 4 consecutive games, including a 5-3 victory last night over the Flyers in the first game under a new general manager. There's talk about Lindy Ruff potentially being out as coach, potentially soon. We'll get to the bottom of that with Paul. 4 straight wins. Seems like you wouldn't fire a head coach after 4 straight wins, but you know, as you're just waiting for the streak to end, and then you go, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Paul has to say about the new guy who has been he was in Columbus for a while, and the first European-born general manager in NHL history, I believe. He's not first, not this stand, but you get what I'm saying. So we'll talk to him about Jarmo. I think it's got to be pronounced. It's not Jarbo. There's no way it's Jarbo, right? We'll talk to him. We'll see how Paul does with the pronunciation. If he's got that down yet, that'll be a fun little task to get through with Paul. And then something will go off the rails because Paul has been doing radio, what they call them hits, like radio hits with me for, we're coming up on 30 years here. And he does everything he possibly can to screw up my show. Always. He will mention the 70s metal band Budgie. Or, I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to do something stupid. And it'll remind me why we only have him on every now and then. I'm just kidding about that part. I love having Paul on. But honestly, the Sabres need to be interesting for me to be interested in talking about the team. We were doing it for a while with John Warrow. Every time the Sabres would win, I think it was 3 consecutive games early in the run of Writer Radio. Every time they'd win 3 games, I'd call John Warrow and have him on and be like, hey, is this anything? And he'd go, no. And then we'd talk about music or something. That's not the plan with Paul. I do want to explore. I'm trying to get caught up. If the team is going to be respectable, I would like to, and it seems like they are. But again, I'm frustrated with the standings because they've won 4 in a row and they're in last place. They're 15-4-4, I think, which is better than a point a game, but it's still last place because the league is screwed up. It has 2-point wins in regulation and 3 points distributed in any game that goes to overtime, and it really messes with the standings. You should not have more points than games and be in last place. That doesn't make sense. So we'll see if that bothers Paul. He's probably used to it. He'll probably tell me why it's a good thing. Or he'll tell me the NHL is stupid and it's a garage league. I haven't heard the NHL is a garage league in a while. So maybe we'll get that. I don't know. Anything could happen. With Scott, we'll be all over the place. A lot to get to. I have a technological struggle. This is not unprecedented on the show. So I think I touched on it yesterday, but I did not expect the problem to extend all the way through to today's show. And I resolved it, I think. Not even I think. It's resolved. You ever do a mail merge? Like you've heard that phrase before, right? Mail merge. It's when you take a list of addresses. In my case, this is to print labels for Christmas cards. Take a list of addresses and you have them automatically fill into a document that will format it to be printed on labels. So I've got these labels here. This is the empty box, but these Avery label 5163. There we go. Why am I so bad at this? There's the camera. The problem is I can't see it. What do you care? I got a box of labels. It puts 10 on a thing. I'm trying to print 60 labels, and writing them all out is absurd because they're in a spreadsheet, and it should just be easy to print them. But my God, has it not been. In part because I don't know what happened between regular Microsoft Office and Office 365. I can't find where things are saved. They bounce all over. I've got a bunch of different accounts. My Gmail account is up against storage issues again, and continues to be. And that's a guest I should get on the show. Somebody who can outsmart the Google storage scam that's going on. Because I don't do anything, and then it's full. And then I delete a bunch of stuff, and then I don't do anything, and then it's full. And it has to do with connecting and backing up the phone. And there's all this stuff. I don't know. But as I'm just trying to print these labels so we can get these stupid cards in the mail, and they're not stupid cards. And for today's Brad Van calendar, I may reveal the Ryder Family Christmas card from this year. I might put that on the screen. We'll see. I forgot to do the Brad Van calendar yesterday, so maybe we'll do two things. But we are now 6 days from Christmas. Also, schedule update. Here's the new plan. First of all, the kids are at school today, and then they come home, and they don't go back for 2 weeks, and that sucks. So they're going to be here the whole time the next 2 weeks, which is less than ideal for doing a show because typically they'll be right there doing something loud on the hardwood floor while I'm trying to speak to you, my friends, here at Ryder Radio. So that would be an issue. But I'm not going to just not do a show for 2 weeks. That's dumb. So there's no way I'm doing a show on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. We'll throw those out. And then I thought, am I going to do a show Monday and Tuesday and then Friday? And I think no. So I think what you're getting is this show today. I'll do a show Monday. I'll do a show Tuesday. Then we're done for the week. Then I'll come back Monday and Tuesday. And then I think I'll be done for the week. And then we'll get back to a regular schedule. So we'll get... Because the way the holidays fall, Eve and holiday are Wednesday, Thursday this year. So no show. We'll do shows Monday and Tuesday each of the next 2 weeks. And then we'll move on. Bills have a contest in Cleveland. We've got people in the chat talking about heading there tomorrow, which is exciting. Or heading there tomorrow for the game on Sunday. That's cool. Football game last night was incredible. Probably game of the year, I would think. I didn't watch any post-game stuff, but I would think that it's at least being talked about in the game of the year conversation, back and forth. Massive comeback by the Seahawks, some controversial plays, some massive performances. Puka Nacua was incredible, although I somehow missed all of the stuff. He's been in the news all week about doing and saying controversial things. I don't know. That's a good player. But the game was awesome. And I was rooting for the Seahawks. I just root for comebacks anyway. And I have never met a Rams fan, to be honest. When I don't have a dog in the fight, and in this case I did not, it's an NFC game. It doesn't matter to me. Talked extensively about this yesterday, that the NFC is just this thing you have to deal with when the season's over if you get to the place you want to be, which is the Super Bowl. And I don't care which team it is that comes out of there because, I remember being excited that the Giants got there with Hostetler. I mean, you didn't have to deal with Joe Montana. That didn't work. And you didn't have to deal with Barry Sanders, and the Redskins ran over the Bills. And then the Cowboys things happened. I don't remember what I was rooting for in those moments, but I don't care. I don't care who they play. You play who you play. It's nice on the AFC side of things to think about the fact that it's not going to be Mahomes this year, and it's not going to be a Burrow problem. Anything else could happen. Anyone can beat anyone. I know. But the Bills are good enough. And I got to say, who did I hear? Oh, it was McAfee, Pat McAfee. I watched some clip like, is this the year that's setting up for the Bills? And it's McAfee and J.J. Watt and A.J. Hawk and other people with initials with middle names that start with J. I don't know, some other guy off to the side, some dude with a beard. But they were talking about, is it set up perfectly for the Bills this year? And that part I'm not buying into. But I will say this part, talking about the year that Josh Allen has had, where it's like, yeah, he won the MVP, he got married, he's having a kid, and married a Hollywood actress, and all this stuff. And this is the final year of the stadium. It's like the storybook part of it makes sense. I just got to say, if you're thinking, hey, is this Buffalo's year? Despite the fact that we didn't address it yesterday when I had Ray Walter on the show. Ray is a local guy. I'm obviously a local guy. My friend Scott is a local guy. My friend Dan is a local guy. And the four of us every year drive to Saratoga together for a fantasy football draft. There are 14 teams in the league. 6 of the teams make the playoffs. 4 of the 6 teams that made the playoffs this year, Buffalo. The 4 of us that go there together all made the playoffs. All in the top 6. 1 has been eliminated. Sorry, Dan. But the semifinals are this weekend. Started yesterday. Somebody's already in a pretty big hole, but I think Nakua was on Scott's team, who's the other Buffalo guy. So it's Chris, who's a Long Island guy, against Scott, and then me against Ray. Somehow we did not discuss the fact that we're facing each other in the semifinals of fantasy football. We both have 0 right now. We didn't have anything going on last night, so it's all going to come out this weekend. Yahoo says that my team has like a 66% chance of winning, but I'll believe it when I see it. But Buffalo, everything's coming up Buffalo is the point here. It's going to be almost 60 degrees on Christmas, according to the latest weather report from the only meteorologist I listen to, which is my wife, who is not a meteorologist, although she did pretend to work for the Weather Channel once. She just watches or reads or whatever what's coming up, and then she tells me, because I very rarely look up weather. I'll look it up when I'm going to, Ypsilanti, because I want to know if I need a jacket or a sweatshirt or pants or shorts or what, like that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, I'll just deal with whatever we've got going on. I do know that I woke up today and all the snow was gone. I spent a good hour yesterday chopping ice at the foot of the driveway that had just accumulated, and it works okay with, like, I have 4-wheel drive. It's not that big a deal to, bounce over this little hill to get in and out of the driveway. That doesn't apply so much when you're just like backing out a minivan into traffic. So we cleaned that up because the weather allowed it. Hard work. Me and the little guy. Little guy was out there with a shovel, scooping up the stuff that I was chopping. Got a blister I popped it. No big deal. We're okay. But I went through all that, and I woke up today, and everything's gone anyway. I don't know that. I think it probably would have still been there, and I probably still would have had work to do. But I bet it would have been a lot easier if I just waded through high temperature and rain. I mean, it was still 50-ish degrees when we were coming home from basketball practice last night at 9 o'clock. And so, yeah, pretty good. It was supposed to be really windy. I had a text alert from National Grid that said, like, high wind warnings and, don't touch downed power lines, like one of those things. And it also was talking about snow, and it didn't make any sense to me. So they got something crossed up over there at National Grid. But my wife was out driving around last night and saw the trucks were assembled. Like, when the big storm is coming and you drive past, I think it was Eastern Hills Mall parking lot, and it was just trucks ready to go. Like, all right, as soon as these things go down. But I haven't heard anything about any actual problems. Certainly didn't feel any here in Amherst. So that's good. Going to the game, watch out for milk bones. Yeah, watch out for everything in Cleveland. They seem like they're our friends, but during a football game, they are not our friends. They can get a little brutal. I would advise the same to anybody coming to a game in Buffalo, too. You get the wrong crowd, you could get into some messy situations, but nothing horrible. All right. What do we have? So yesterday, I told you I was leaving the show, and I was going immediately to go pick up the Christmas cards. And by yesterday, I mean, was that yesterday or was that 2 days ago now? It was yesterday. Went to go pick up cards. I print them at Walgreens. I was going to say at a chain pharmacy, but Rite Aid went away. CVS is just weird. I don't ever use CVS. So Walgreens it is. But I told my wife, hey, I'm going there. Pick something out because there's a Panera right next door. Let's do Panera lunch. I forgot how delicious and expensive Panera is. But it was great. Got like a French dip thing and bacon mac and cheese. And, lunch for 2 people, I wish didn't cost $27, but, once in a while you get to go crazy. So I went, here's my experience. I came back very often. When I go shopping for anything, I come back with a horror story about how terrible things were. I did that 2 days ago. I went to Wegmans thinking I'd be all right because it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever it was. And I was not all right. I also decided to do some, I'm going to go casually look around, do some Christmas shopping, because that is now less than a week away. And I've got some things I need to acquire, but I didn't have a real plan. It wasn't like I'm going to this store to get this, and I'm going to this. I just went to where the stores are. What a nightmare. I understand why I'm available to just wander into a store or wander into a parking lot at 1:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. I understand why I'm available. How is everyone else also available? How are so many people there? I thought middle of the day is the time to go. I learned afterward, my wife said, you got to go when the store opens. No. Or late at night. Sure, I guess I could. But I figured everything's open. Middle of the day. People have jobs. Nobody's got a job. I don't think anybody has a job. I mean, my situation's a little different. But I thought that made me different. I thought that made me available while no one else was. So I had a horrible day when I went out 2 days ago attempting to make some purchases. Yesterday, however, I had a tremendously efficient and fun ride. First thing that happens, I get in the car, turn on the truck, turn it on, and the song High and Dry by Radiohead is playing. You never hear High and Dry on the radio. It's at that point that I remember that the night before, when I ordered the Walgreens photos, they did that offer of, hey, you want free Sirius XM radio for 3 months? And I always decline because I know how hard it is to get out of having Sirius XM radio. I've heard horror stories about people trying to quit. But in this particular offer, it was no credit card necessary. Just tell us the radio ID number, and we'll hook you up. And I went through the process, and of course, it didn't work right away. And I had to go online with customer service. But they got it. It's up and running. So I get in the car, I hear High and Dry. Then I talk to Jeremy on the phone. Jeremy was on at the tail end of the show yesterday. And I told him I'd call him back after the show was done, so I did that. I get to the store. I get out. I go to get the photos. Pretty good deal on those. They were ready. That was efficient. Didn't have to wait in any lines, nothing. Go next door. Food is ready at Panera. Put it in the truck. It smells great. Start the truck again. It played another great song. I'm trying to remember. What was it? Wrong Way by Sublime. You might not like Sublime. I like that song. I've been talking about that song recently, actually. So I hear that. And then I get home and I walk in the door and I tell my wife, this was great. I've got Sirius XM radio. I heard these songs. Walgreens was smooth. Panera was smooth. Food smells delicious. Here's your stuff. Here's my stuff. And I'm feeling great. That was a really good half hour or so of life. Very simple. No problems, no complaints. And then I came downstairs to try to do this stupid mail merge and edit the show and whatever. And that's when I noticed my fly was open the entire time. The whole time I was thinking I was having a great 40 minutes. I did it with my zipper completely down. It was never up. It's not like oh yeah, that's right. I used the men's room there and I must have screwed up. No, I just put on my pants and didn't zip them. And that's how I went through. I felt great. Thought that was a great hour. And then I felt stupid. That's what happened to me. I'm going to play a song just so that I can call Paul and get him on the phone rather than trying to do that live. Or we could just do it live. I don't really need to. And then it's one fewer edit I have to make. Yeah, all right. We'll just call Paul live. He won't mind. I'm going to text him first to tell him that it's going to be live. What is this? My dad just texted me. Wow. You were chopping ice? How soon you forget how much stuff you used to give me, how much shit you used to give me. When I had you help me chop ice here, I remember this is stupid. It's all going to melt anyway. What has changed? I have a wife who doesn't, she's got a van. She drives over I didn't drive when I had to help you chop. I hated chopping ice. I still hate chopping ice. It sucked. Yeah, I didn't like it. It's true. It's all going to melt anyway. It would have melted. If we didn't do it, if we just held out for 12 more hours, it would probably be gone, or it would be a much simpler process. All right, I have to text Paul. I'm just talking to my dad. Live on the show. Why not? All right. About to call, and you will be live immediately. So don't say the dumb stuff you usually say. No, I'm not going to say that. About to call, and FYI, here we go. FYI, you'll be live immediately. All right, so now Paul will get that message. We'll give him 30 seconds to see it and read it. Then we'll call him. So we just connect the phone right there. That's it. And then we just have to call Paul momentarily. One of the things I talked about with Jeremy yesterday was there's something online called Athletic Director Simulator 4000. And he just started laughing. And I said, do I need to do this? Or do you want to surprise me by talking about it on the show? Because he's coming on Tuesday. And he said, no, you should play with it. And I started playing with it. And I don't know how you're supposed to stop playing with it. Luckily, I was dragged away for something. Like something happened that I had to quit. But there's a time suck. Athletic Director Simulator 4000. Just type it in. You'll find it. It's fun. It also pretty accurately represents the challenges of navigating the college sports landscape in 2025. All right, I'm calling Paul. We're just going to let it ring live on the air. It's a picture of Paul in high school shows up on my phone. Look at this. Oh, wait, then you'll see his number. Never mind. What does that mean when it stops ringing, but then there's no talking?
I said, what's up?
Oh, you did? I didn't hear you. Hi, Paul Hamilton.
Did you just flush the toilet?
I didn't flush the toilet. You know what? No one has called me out on this yet, but I do the show in my house, and I am about 4 feet away from my sump pump. So especially on a day like today when it's super rainy, every now and then you will hear the water happening.
Let's just go that you're taking a piss while we're doing the thing.
All right, whatever you want to, however you want to picture this, Paul, is fine by me. First of all, it's nice to speak with you. Second, wait, did you just disappear? He's gone. That's his whole comment. All right, well, there's Paul Hamilton. Thanks for joining us, PM. Let's try that again. I'm going to call him again. See what I mean? See what I mean? This is what it's like. This is what it's like.
I lost you.
Yeah, I know. Right away. You're just like, oh, you're taking a piss while you're doing the show. Oh, you don't hear me again? What's going on? You don't hear me?
What's that?
Do you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying, the last thing you said was, oh, we'll just pretend you're taking a piss while you're doing the show, and then you were gone. And then I just said, well, there's our appearance from Paul Hamilton. That was good. Good God. People are excited.
Yeah, you hung up on me. I'm used to you hanging up on me. You've been doing it for years.
I didn't touch anything, man. You just can't trust these phones these days. So I would like to talk to you more often, but I need the hockey team to be more interesting more often. And I got in touch with you because there's a new GM, and I don't know anything about him. But also, now we're talking about 4 consecutive wins. Now, they're still in last place, which is frustrating to me, and I've become increasingly frustrated with the they have to go to 3 points for a win. You shouldn't have more than a point per game and be in last place. That doesn't mathematically make sense to me. So some games are worth 2, and some games are worth 3, so I'm frustrated by that. So that's me just saying, hey, Paul, how's the hockey team going?
Yes. Now, am I allowed to blow up your show like I did last time I was on?
I predicted that you would. So yeah, I would expect nothing less.
Also, there's an echo in the background of us too here.
I know what that is. I bet that is that I have my speaker up. I had my speaker up a little bit, and I think that we solved that. So
yes, we have solved that.
You sound fine. I hear you fine. But
well, I probably should talk hockey then before I talk about Budgie or blowing up your show or anything like that.
I knew that you would say Budgie. I said that you would say Budgie, and you've already said Budgie. Yeah, no, let's do hockey first, and then you can mess with me all you want.
All right, sounds good. Hey, listen, they aren't in last place anymore.
They're not?
No, but you know what? It took them. They've played pretty good hockey lately. I mean, they've won 10 out of 16. That's a 625 points percentage. Notice I didn't say winning percentage.
Right.
In the NHL, you have to say points percentage because all the goofy standings that you just talked about that happen in the NHL that don't happen in pro sports.
Right.
But they went in it took a 4-game winning streak and a 10-6 record just to get past one team in the Eastern Conference. They had to pass 8 teams. Now they have to pass 7. And it took 16 games of playing 625 hockey just to pass one team. And that's the point of the whole thing. If they're in ninth place, one place out of the playoffs, and they're 7 points back, they're fine. You can make up 7 points on a team. That's not a big deal. But if you're 5 points back and 4 points back, but you have to leapfrog 8 teams, now 7, do you really think that 7 or 8 teams are going to go in the dumper for you? So you can leapfrog everybody to get into, I mean, they would have to go, I would estimate on a 10-game winning streak just to get back into it because of the amount of teams they have to leapfrog to get there. And that's the point I've been seeing for 14 years, except for the year that they came within 1 point. They almost pulled it off. They had to do the leapfrog thing that year, too.
Mm-hmm.
They tied the Penguins, so they didn't actually get past the Penguins because they had the tiebreaker. So they didn't get past the Penguins, and they didn't get past Florida. They were within 1 point of getting past both. So they almost pulled it off once in 14 years. But they do it almost every year. By Thanksgiving or Christmas, they're out of it because they're sitting around in the bottom of the conference, and they got to get past everybody, and it just doesn't happen.
Do you think that's almost entirely a product of the 3-point, 2-point, 1-point situation? Because I kind of do. The problem to me is if you're trying, all you can do is get 2 points a night. But if
Right.
you're chasing 2 teams that are above you and they play each other, they can combine for 3 points the same night that you get 2. So it just, all of that adds up to just this ridiculous thing where, as you're saying, they've been good over a 16-game stretch. I would say over the course of this season, I selectively have watched games, and they look like a team in the league. They don't look out of place. You know, they'll have a bad night here or there. They'll have, get blown out once in a while. But generally speaking, they're a decent sort of middle-of-the-pack team. The record of 15-4-4 reflects that you're a decent middle-of-the-pack team, but the league is doing something wrong if 15-4-4 is the worst in the division and at the bottom, along with Columbus, of the conference. That to me is a league problem that's forcing, and also, don't go on these 6 to 10 game losing streaks every year in November or whatever. Like, that would help. But trying to get back in it when the deck is stacked against you based on that some games are worth 3 thing, I can't believe that hasn't been addressed yet. I can't believe it.
And Bettman, I've been in the room when it's been brought up with Bettman. He doesn't want to hear it. He immediately, no, we're not doing that. And just doesn't really give why or anything like that. It's like, well, we're thriving. I like the way we do things, type of a thing, and not really open to, newer type of ideas that might make the game better. And just like you look at this game against Philadelphia, I mean, you're typically teams coming back from out west have a bad game to start with. I don't know why. It just typically happens. But the Sabres, to their credit, had a half a bad game. They were horrendous for the first half of the game, and I mean horrendous. But their goaltender held them in, made some great saves, so it's only 2-1. And then they get 2 goals right at the end of the third, and they snapped out of it. They took the lead after 40 minutes, and then the third period, they played really good hockey. So they didn't spend the whole game playing bad from being on the West Coast. They spent a half a game. The shot attempts, just to give you the idea, in the first period were 27-6 in favor of Philadelphia. For the rest of the game, it was, I believe, let me look where my notes are. I think it was 40-28 in favor of the Sabres for the rest of the game after that.
So they need a little nap after the trip.
48-30.
Whoa.
And so they woke up. So it wasn't the whole game. Their goaltender kept them in until they figured it out. And how many times did you hear Don Granato or Lindy Ruff say that good teams don't always have their A game, but what good teams do is when they have their B game, they figure out a way to win with their B game. Well, I'm being honest with you. I think they had their C game to start that game, but they figured out a way to win. Good for them. I mean, to me, that's progress.
Sure.
That, they make progress, and they figured out a way to win a hockey game. They didn't panic in Edmonton where they had the lead, and Edmonton comes flying back at them. Scored 2 quick goals in the third period to pull within 1. Then Connor McDavid scores with 1 second left to tie it. It didn't matter because you're playing a Western team
Right.
that you gave Edmonton a point, went to overtime. What mattered was the Sabres pulled their socks up in overtime, got possession of the puck, and in 33 seconds had 2 points and won the game. It didn't matter that they gave a West Coast team 1 point. It would have mattered last night.
Sure.
Had they given the Philadelphia Flyers, let them tie the game and get back in it and go to overtime. And instead of Buffalo getting 2 points and the Flyers none, either Buffalo getting 2 and the Flyers 1, or Buffalo getting 1 and the Flyers 2, which has happened to the Sabres quite often during this whole stretch where they seem to have a game won, give up a goal in the last 30 seconds, and instead of getting 2 points to none with a conference opponent, get 1 because they lose in overtime or a shootout and give up 2.
Yep. And
they've done that a lot.
I firmly believe that those are the points that have kept them out of the playoffs for this many years. Like that stuff, that system. I'm not saying it favors anybody over anybody else, but it's just not right that a regular season game between two teams sometimes is worth 2 points and sometimes is worth 3 points. And like you said, West Coast or Western Conference, who cares? Let them have it. You're not dealing with them. But when that happens in the East, and it happens a lot, it adds up, and you end up in that, that needing to leapfrog everyone. But meanwhile, the teams ahead of you are getting points even though they're playing each other, and it's just, I don't know, man. There's something totally wrong about that. And my God, Gary Bettman, how long has he been there? Gary, at some point, you have to think that maybe a new idea might. Somebody somewhere, I don't know.
The owners like him because he does what they say, and that's the way it goes. But let me ask you this: when the Bills broke their 17-year playoff hiatus, they didn't make the playoffs the next year, but just the fact that it's not being talked about anymore.
Yes.
Let's think back to when COVID hit and the season was canceled. Buffalo was in Montreal when that happened. The NBA player got COVID, and they put the NBA on hold on Wednesday. Sabres were supposed to play in Montreal on Thursday, and by noon, we're supposed to be at the morning skate, and they say, pack up, we're going home. Okay. Had the Sabres played that game and won, they would have been in the playoffs, that bubble playoff that they had, instead of the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, really?
Now, let me ask you this. Had they broken the streak there, is everything different now from that point forward?
There's a decent chance. There's a decent chance that the feeling in the building, the negativity's not there, the overwhelming sense of dread, here it comes again, it's happening to us again. I think that's entirely possible. The attitude is everything, confidence is everything, and as an organization, if you feel like you're in the league again, which is really, if you don't make the playoffs for 14 years, you're not in the league, essentially. And it puts you back in the conversation. So I think that's right. I didn't know that it was that tight and that specific and that they missed by just that.
Well, remember, more teams made the playoffs, too, which helped. But still, you would have made the playoffs. It doesn't matter if it's more teams. You followed the rules, whatever the rules were, and you made the playoffs. And if you recall, the 2 times they were close, that time, Montreal made the Stanley Cup Finals.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were 1 point behind Florida.
2 years ago, right?
Florida made the Stanley Cup Finals. That was the year they lost before they won the couple. So both times they were within 1 point of making the playoffs in these 14 years. The team that beat them out made it to the Stanley Cup Finals.
That's how close you are. And you can see it on a night-to-night basis. Again, I just go back to the record. 15, 14, and 4 is middle of the pack. That means we win half of our games, we lose half of our games, and then a couple go to overtime, which used to only give you 2. It just, I don't know. It's frustrating. But yeah, I think so. You tell me, is Kevin Adams going out? Because we're talking about the same thing here, which is just sort of a slight attitude tweak, a slight confidence tweak, a stronger belief that they're really trying to do something in that arena. And yeah, if you make the playoffs at some point, you feel a lot better about the team. I would feel better about supporting them, about buying tickets to go watch them, all of it. Everybody just feels better. So does everybody feel better with a new general manager in place? Is it too early to tell? how long ago should Kevin Adams have gone? I mean, I'm assuming you believe it was time for Kevin Adams to go. If not, you can tell me otherwise. But did it go on too long with Adams as the general manager?
No question. He was not remotely qualified at any point in 5.5 years to be a general manager in the NHL. He was made GM. He was kind of groomed by the Pagulas to do it. He had been in the front office. He had been an assistant coach. He had done like everything, and they felt that's how you develop a general manager. So then they made him the GM, and why? Because Jason Botterill, who was a bona fide hockey man, would not gut the hockey department like Pagula wanted. Pagula believed that you could video scout. You don't need scouts all over the place. Why can't you just watch it on tape? And, so Botterill was not willing to do that. And if you recall, that was the last time Terry Pagula actually spoke and took questions from the media. He said that we do not feel we were being heard. He hired Kevin Adams because Kevin Adams was willing to gut the hockey department and did it immediately. But almost everybody was fired. And then he puts a guy in charge of amateur and pro scouting who had never done either job. Okay, now you have a GM who's never done the job. The guy in charge of amateur and pro scouting has never done that job.
And we changed what the job is.
And we changed what the job is. That's not a one-person job. Even if you have experience, that is not a one-person job. You fire scouts. And that's that. So he got the job because he was willing to do that. And he took heavy criticism for guys like Brian Burke and hockey guys across the league who verbally said they can't believe anybody would take a job and have to do that. And that Kevin Adams took a lot of heat from people who kind of disrespected that he took the job. He was so desperate to be a GM, he took the job where he had to do something like that. And Kekäläinen, just listening to him in the first press conference, you absolutely 100% could tell this guy's been a general manager for a long time in this league, for 11 years with the Columbus Blue Jackets. The way he carried himself, how he talks, how he wants an organization put together. It's no nonsense. I've talked, there's scouts in the press box, and I have other sources around the NHL. I talked to him. Every single person that knows Kekäläinen said the same thing. He will look you in the eye, and it might be uncomfortable, but he's going to tell you the truth and tell you what he thinks, as uncomfortable as it might be. And I asked him in the press conference if that's an accurate assessment of him, and he said yes. He goes, I don't believe in talking behind people's backs. If you can't say it to their face, don't say it at all. And just everybody is under review. And he said good things about Lindy Ruff. As Lindy Ruff said, he's been in the office almost every day. Him and Adams and coaching staff and hockey, always talking about what can they do to make the team better. Players that could make the team better. What do these players need to do? And Ruff enjoyed hearing Kekäläinen's views on players and games and things that were going on. So he at least gets the opportunity to be the GM of an organization he's been a part of since May. So he knows what's going on. Mm-hmm. He knows Lindy Ruff. But he did say when he was finally pinned down by Mike Harrington and asked, hey, what are you doing with Lindy Ruff? And he said, everybody is under evaluation. Players, coaches, front office, scouts, everybody is under evaluation. And that was his answer.
So until further notice, we are taking him at his word, because that's what you've heard about the guy. And then you asked him the question and he said, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So until he messes that up, that's what we should believe. So I'm going to take it.
And that's what I saw that morning. I saw a no-nonsense guy. He's not going to be, walking by in the press box telling jokes I'm not saying that's what Adams did, but,
right.
Sometimes guys are like that. And, he will say hello to you. If you have a question, he will answer it. If you want to have a conversation, he probably will have it. But it's going to be, he's a hockey guy.
Business.
He's been around this league for what, 20, 30 years, whichever it is. And he's a hockey guy. He that's what makes him happy, is being a hockey guy. And he's like, forget about making the playoffs. He goes, I'm after a Stanley Cup championship. He goes, the most miserable I've ever been when the Columbus Blue Jackets, remember when they swept the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round and got to the second round?
Mm-hmm.
He said that was great for what, 28 days that you're you play in the playoffs?
Yeah.
And he goes, it's the most miserable I've ever been in hockey the day we were eliminated. He goes, so making the playoffs is not what makes you happy. He goes, winning a championship is what makes you happy. And he goes, that's all I'm about, is winning a championship. He goes, yes, you have to make the playoffs to get there.
Yeah, you acknowledge that.
But he said that's what makes him happy, and that's what his whole world revolves around.
Well, yeah, I mean, selling off assets to make yourself good enough to make the playoffs by 2 points to then be eliminated in the first or second round is not a long-term goal, and shouldn't be. So I like that. I mean, already from the limited stuff I've heard from him, I agree. Like, I agree with all of it. And I don't think they're ridiculously far away, and it just will take a focus to make it happen, whether it's this year or next year or 2 years from now. It seems to me that they've got a pretty talented core of players, and also they're not stuck in the same rut that they were, let's say, even 7-8 years ago, where it was a core of players where we were kind of starting to question, like, has he been around too long? Has this guy been around too long? Has this grown stale? Like, I don't get the sense that we're in stale mode. Things have changed enough. New guys have come in and come out to where the lineup does not look exactly like it. They went like 3-4 years where the lineup just kind of looked the same, and they mix in 1 or 2 new players and expect it to be different, and it wasn't. I don't get that sense right now that it's like a malaise. I think they just haven't quite figured out how to get over the top. And they're the pieces, and especially with a new GM, I would expect more pieces to be going in and out. But it's not a sell things off to make the playoffs type of plan. It's get back to respectability, because I don't want to go to the playoffs this year. And you could say it's only about championship. I would say it's also about consistent playoffs, so that you give yourself a fighting chance for a championship. And risking a bunch to go for it for 1 year to barely make it is not in the cards. It's not in my plans if I'm the GM, and it's good to hear that that's not the plan for the team either.
He said what you do, you will eventually get to a point where you go for it. But you got to get to that point first, where you sell out, and so this is our year. This is the year we can do it, and we're going for it. But they, of course, aren't even close to that point yet. And the thing is, too, yeah, they've got guys, but they still have a bunch of number 1 picks who are still developing. Roseanne's in Rochester. Kulich, I think, is still developing. Ostlund is just starting his NHL career and is looking good. Zach Benson, I think, has more to come. Helenius is down in Rochester. Mertka was in Rochester for a while, the guy they just picked. There are 2 number 2 picks in Kleber is one of them, who's playing college hockey right now. And the other one was, his name escapes me, he's at Michigan State. It'll come back to Sturbeck. Big right-handed shooting guys. Both are 2 of the better defensemen in college hockey right now. They haven't even scratched the surface yet. So these are guys. Brody Zemer was a 3rd-round pick playing now at the University of Minnesota and doing very well. These are guys that haven't even been around yet, that could develop into very good players for this hockey team. So, the cupboard certainly is not bare. Unfortunately, Kulich is in this spot with the blood clots, but I think this is a guy who just got better and better last year, and I expected, even better things this year, but unfortunately for him, with blood clots, you don't know what turns that's going to go. Who knows? So, but that's a guy that I think when you're looking for, they have no depth in their top 6 at all. Well, Kulich is a guy that I think can give them some depth in their top 6, but they still have to go and acquire. As I said, Kekäläinen has no ties to any of these guys. So he is, it's like, whatever. I'm going to do what's best for the hockey team. I'm not going to sit on my hands going, These guys are going to come through. I drafted them. These guys are going to come through. I drafted them.
Right.
So I'm not going to go. Now, it's a myth. A lot of fans think Adams has done nothing. That's a myth. Adams has changed at certain years 30% of the team. But the problem is, no matter what he does or who he drafts, that line just stayed in a straight line near the bottom of the standings, and it just stayed there.
Yeah.
Never moved. And that's the thing. Now you have to find a way to turn all of this into wins, into confidence. Dave Burkholder said to me that when he coached at Niagara, and I was doing some play-by-play there, it's so simple. Your best players have to be your best players. And this year there have been a lot of nights where their best players simply have not been their best players. They've won 4 in a row. And look at what's been happening lately. Their best players have all been coming through. When Thompson scored last night, that's goals in 5 straight games. Dahlin has 10 points in 8 games. Tuck has really come. Norris, do you realize Norris has every game he's played since he came back from injury, he's had a point?
No, I didn't know that.
I mean, so he's producing the way it's been 6 games since he's returned from that injury, and he has 3 goals and 6 assists for 9 points, and points in all 6 games.
We had 2 goals the first night, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what they were trading for.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing. That, I understand where Adams was coming from him. He traded for the better player. Norris is a better player than Cousins when things are equal. When there aren't injuries, when both are healthy, both are playing, Norris is, I would say, by far the better player. That's why the Sabres had to give up a second-round pick in addition to Cousins to get Norris, because Norris is the better player. If he can figure out a way to stay healthy, the Sabres have an excellent number 1 center on their hands.
And then also, it's not like Cousins was garbage. They gave up a decent player, and then they got back for a good chunk of this season nothing in return. So that's a step back. That's a problem. If Norris is here the whole time, is there a different story? Do they have 4 more points right now, and they're in the conversation, as opposed to sitting at 34 out of the conversation? Maybe. I mean, every team has injuries. Every team has that problem. But they made a swap, and you said, and a good friend of mine who's a big hockey guy told me Norris looks to him to be the best player on the team. You might not agree with that, but he said, this guy's great. I went and watched him in preseason, and I couldn't wait, and now he's out, and it's killing him. And then he comes back and he scores 2 goals. I'm like, well, this guy seems like he knows what he's talking about. So I don't know.
But think about this. I know they originally tried to put Norris with Thompson, and I liked the idea at the time. But Norris right now is playing with Tuck. Thompson is playing with Doan. Doan has been a refreshing, I wouldn't say surprise. I think people in hockey knew there was an upside there. I don't know if we all knew exactly what it was, but an offensive upside. But if you can put Norris and Tuck out there, and then you put Thompson along with Doan, and you get Zucker back, who produces. I know he's 30-some-odd years old, but he produces. It's as simple as that. And you know what you're getting with him. So, you put him on the left wing with one of those 2 lines. Now the other team has things to worry about. Now they got to worry about a 45-goal scorer in Tage Thompson coming at you. And then you got to worry about Norris, who, when he scored 35 goals, I think only played 66 games that year. So had he played all 82, he probably would have been over 40.
Yeah.
So now you got them coming at you. You can't defense them the same way if you don't have those 2 on the same line. And if you're in a game where you're down 2 goals, you can always put them together. Like Edmonton does. Draisaitl and McDavid don't always play together, but when they need goals, they're on the same line. So you can always kind of mix and match. Zach Benson right now, you throw him in the mix, or Zucker in the mix, or whoever it is. Now I think you're presenting problems to the other team. Kulik, I'm sorry, I forgot about him. You put Kulik in the mix. And now you're throwing guys that can cause problems for other teams.
Seems like there's something there. It seems like there is, and I just hate that the standings don't show it. But maybe we're coming out of the fog. Are you ready to blow up my show, Paul? You got stuff you want to do?
Have you seen the Femmes of Rock?
No. What are we talking about?
They are phenomenal.
The Femmes of Rock? Is this thing?
Yes, they are phenomenal. It's 4 women. 3 of them play electric fiddle, and the other one plays electric cello. They play rock music. They play AC/DC. They play, and you would think you were listening to guitars. Now, they are backed up by, when they come to Buffalo, Jason Neubauer, who might be one of the best local guitarists in the area. He will fill in for them, and they'll have a bass player, an electric guitarist, and a drummer. But the 4 of them, and if you ever get a chance to go to YouTube and listen to them, it is just phenomenal. I went to the Riviera, it might have been 3 years ago, thinking, this seems different. It's only $30. Let me go check this out. I was thoroughly entertained. They are so good, and I noticed they're coming to Art Park. Matter of fact, tickets just went on sale in the summer. And she's from they're out of Vegas, but the lead electric fiddle player, I will call her. She would probably say electric violin. Is from Lewiston. So she's from the area. So very often you'll see when they're doing shows around the country or they're doing shows in Vegas, she'll have her Bills swag on, they're doing her thing. But I really would suggest any fan, or you yourself, because you're big into music, check them out. And it is just so different to hear what they do. And I took my sister-in-law and my niece to a show. I think they had a smile on their face the whole time because they played in Jamestown that year, and we went and met there. And they said it was one of the best shows they had ever seen. And it's a different way of playing rock music, but it's not like listening to like classical violin. They all were trained as classical violinists, but they sing. At times, and as I said, you are at a rock show, and they are extremely entertaining and very, very good.
Wow, and they're okay to look at. We'll say that.
You're looking them up now?
Oh yeah, the whole time I've been looking. Yeah, all upcoming performances are headliner appearances featuring the music of AC/DC, Queen, Led Zeppelin, Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix, Metallica, Pink Floyd, and more. Yeah, I'm in. I'm
as I said, when you get a chance to lose yourself in YouTube for a half hour or something with them, they are. I was just so blown away by what I saw with it. And the thing is too that it's a longer show too. They do quite a bit there, and her husband. It's funny. She said it, and I didn't believe it. She goes. He helps with the Led Zeppelin stuff. He's back in the back doing sound and everything, but he'll come on stage. And she said he is more Jimmy Page. Not Jimmy Page.
Robert Plant. Robert Plant.
Thank you. He's more Robert Plant than Robert Plant is right now. And then he starts singing, and I go, "Oh my God, he sounds exactly like him." And so he does like three Zeppelin songs with them and whatever, and it was just. I know I'm maybe overselling this, but I really,
I'm looking up there.
I really enjoyed it. And anytime they come now, I think I've seen them 3 times now. And if I don't have anything going on, I'll be at Art Park. Matter of fact, when we're done, I may check out tickets because they went on sale today. And definitely, I think I will be there again. To me, it doesn't get old. It really, and I very rarely do this. But after the show, I waited to tell them how much I enjoyed their show.
Oh, that's a me move. I do that all the time. I'm the guy that talks to the band. My friends make fun of me. I can't not do it.
They said, well, let's take a picture together and everything. I wasn't planning on doing that, and then we became friends on. We were right back and forth on direct messages and stuff, and I always. Tell them I come in, and I met him after the show just to chat, because they meet fans after the show and talking. And I keep telling her, I say, you're always wearing Bill stuff. When are you going to start getting Sabres swag?
When they get out of last place. How about that? When they win the 10 games you've been talking about. When
they get out of
3-point games.
If they make the playoffs, then she'll start wearing Sabres swag on stage.
Right.
So
they're relevant. Be relevant. Then I'll wear the stuff. That's when I'll start
But
wearing
when you do it, when you listen, I want you to tell me what you think.
I will.
Because I know you're big into music, and
yeah, the show is July 10th, and I think I'm out of town that day, so that's not going to work for me, the art park thing. But
they come every year, or every other year.
Right.
I mean, they're around. I've seen them at the Riviera twice. I've seen them in Jamestown, and now I'll see them at Art Park. So, and she's really excited about the Art Park show because she's from Lewiston. That's
awesome.
her town.
That's perfect. She can walk to it.
And one of them's from Rochester.
Really?
The other ones are from all over the country, and they.
Well, it clearly looks like a band that was assembled by a mastermind. I mean, it takes a wizard to find 4 people that look like that can do that. So that's, there's almost a boy band aspect to it. It's girls, which is different, but it looks assembled. And when you say Vegas, it looks like Vegas to me. Just from the picture, I haven't even heard what they're doing. Yeah. But just from the photo.
And you'll see videos of her that she does with her husband, just doing it herself, doing rock stuff. Different things from Van Halen songs, or she puts out quite a few videos on her own that are really, I mean, I'm mesmerized by them just listening to them and how close they are, that you close your eyes, you think you are listening to a guitar. And it's just, as I said, just very, very, very well done.
All right. Well, Paul, we got to go because I got to talk to Scott 9 minutes ago. But I'm going to take a break. I'm going to put.
I always do that to you. I go too long.
It's allowed. We're allowed in this world to do whatever we would like. I appreciate you coming on, and let's do it again soon.
All right, sounds good.
All right, thank you very much. Paul Hamilton, kind enough to join the show. Let's hear it for Paul. Everyone, raise your hands. Hey, Paul. Clap for Paul. All right, quick timeout. Scott Wilson will join me in just a moment, but I've got to get the music going here so that I can take a break and get in touch with Scott. Because otherwise, I could just call Scott live. But then that would be I do the show for 2 straight hours with no breaks. I'm not doing that. So we're gonna hit one here and be right back. Thanks again to Paul Hamilton, who obviously you can hear on WGR 550 and has been a friend of mine for a long time. We'll talk hockey. They win 4 games in a row. They get a new GM. We'll bring on Paul. We'll talk serious hockey. He said a lot of names where, like, if gun to my head, I had to say the first name. Like, I've heard all those names, all those last names, but if I had to say all the first names, especially the prospects, that's why we have Paul on. So I don't have to learn the stuff. Paul learns the stuff. He shares it. I bring him on. You get to learn it. I do you a service. He does us all a service. You get it. You get how that goes. All right. This is what I want. This thing here. We'll switch this over. We'll hit play. We'll see what happens. It'll be the last 13 seconds of the show, the song we already heard earlier. And then something new will come on. And I'll be back in a couple minutes with our good friend Scott Wilson, because it's Friday. That's what we do.
Let's check in with Rider Radio's senior football correspondent, Scott Wilson.
I turned it down right as it was saying Scott. So it's not senior football correspondent Wilson. It's senior correspondent Scott Wilson. He's here. What's up, man?
What's up? I'm can't believe I'm following a legend.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, he just kept going, and I wasn't going to stop him. So yeah, we had Paul Hamilton on for quite some time.
No, you don't want to slow. You hear from me enough. Paul's the best. Paul Hamilton is the best.
Paul's pretty great. We're good. We've had a lot. We had Ray Walter on yesterday. Jeremy White called in. He's coming on Tuesday. He was on briefly yesterday. He just happened to call with a couple minutes left in the show, so I answered the phone. And that he didn't want to be on the show, but he was on anyway. But yeah, now we got you. The vast majority of come on, man.
Thoughts?
The vast majority of the text messages I received from people last night were about that football game, which is up there for game of the year in the NFL, unless you had Rams minus 1.5 and we're playing against Puka Nacua in your fantasy playoffs. How'd it go for you?
Yeah, badly.
Oh, that's right. That was a text from you about those two things.
Yeah. No, that was me. That was me. That should have been the easiest slam dunk cover and win of my betting life. And the absurd amount of events that led up to what happened and eventually me losing is unfortunate. It makes me think that it's a night like that will make me want to never bet on anything ever again.
Yeah, it'll get you. It'll get you real good. I mean, even just thinking about the conversion.
The 2-point conversion play, a ridiculous nonsense punt return for a touchdown. When the Rams are punting for the first time in the game in the fourth quarter, they are moving the ball up and down. But I will say, from an objective football perspective, I think that game is a very good example of why one of the most overlooked stats, but one of the most important stats in football, is what do you do in the red zone? Are you getting touchdowns or field goals?
Or missing field goals.
Or missing field
Which
goals.
wasn't quite red zone, but I know, you know what I mean.
Right. It's, early in that game, that thing should have been over. Sam Darnold looked like he always does when he plays a team that has any decent talent on it. Terrible. And I give him credit. That's probably the best drive of his career, that overtime drive.
Yeah.
To go down the field. But most of that game, he looked like Sam Darnold, overall, mostly average quarterback against a good team. And, the Rams just didn't come through. And it's one of those things where the Rams score the touchdown, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm still in a good spot here. They can get a stop. And they get to midfield rather easily. And now I'm thinking they're going to get this touchdown. And no matter what happens, I'm going to lose. Because they're going to get it, and they're not going to kick the field goal. They're not going to take the extra point.
Right.
They're going for 2.
Right.
And when that happens and they don't get it, I still lose. And if they score and they get it, I lose. And I'm like, this is, I need something different to happen than what's very clearly about to happen.
Yeah.
But, there was just a lot of really weird things that happened in that game. But none more important than in the first half, the Rams settling for field goals when they were – I mean, look at the stats from that game. The Rams moved the ball at will with the exception of, I think, 2 drives where they punted back-to-back.
And the Seahawks were doing nothing. Darnold at the half was 3 of 5 for 50 yards or something, and Jigba hadn't made a catch yet. There was nothing going on in the first half for the Rams. And I didn't see most of the first half because I was at a basketball practice, of course, but came home with, 4 minutes left in the half, kind of got the gist of what was going on, and then was doing stuff downstairs until my son Nate was like, you've got to come up and see this play, and explained the conversion situation to me. I was like, well, all right. So then I locked in for the rest of the game, and it was great. I mean, I didn't have a bet on the game like you did, but it was fun. There's something very relaxing to me about 2 good NFC teams playing where I don't really have a strong opinion. I'm just looking for back and forth, and they gave me back and forth for sure, which is cool.
Well, I did what we have talked about a bunch for NBA playoff bets, which is I started the game thinking I think the Rams are going to win this. And they get stopped on 4th down, and the Seahawks go up 7-0, and I say to myself,
now,
I think I'm going to take a look at this. And it was still Rams 1.5. So I said, okay, so obviously Vegas thinks along with me, but that's a very low bar. I think they're going to win this going away. And then they get up 30-14, and I'm thinking, this is awesome. I might just go to bed. This is done. My money is I'll check out my money in the morning.
Yeah. Just piling up.
Yeah, man, the punt return happens, and then it got awkward and it got uncomfortable real fast. And then when I'm going on later in the game, because I noticed that Nakua seems to be having a good day, I think to myself, wait, I'm in the semis of my playoffs for fantasy football. And I'm facing my son, and I think I've heard him talk
facing
before.
Your son, that's awesome.
And I think I've heard him talk before about Puka Nacua. And I go on and I look, and sure enough, there's Puka Nacua with 36 points. And I'm basically done already. I haven't had a single point. Well, I had the Seahawks kicker, who didn't get as many points as he should have last night because they kept going for 2. So
and the fumble, the Cooper Kupp fumble that was already in the red zone, that could have been a point or 3 for him.
Yeah,
it's rough.
So that was a rough night. That was a rough night for me football wise. But Still an entertaining game. It's a good game. It's a rare for Thursday night to see that two good teams like that matching off with that much at stake. So at least it's the first time in a long time when it hasn't been a Giants or Bills game where I have been looking forward to watching the game. Usually it's I'll check in on that.
Well,
we
typically
this is a game where I was like, this is an interesting game.
Yeah, we typically have a conversation at dinner. Someone will be like, "Hey, it's Thursday. Who's playing tonight?" And yesterday, I got to say, "Oh, it's a good one," and everybody was excited. Everybody had stuff to do, but we all kind of, went out and did our things, and then came back and sat down, and everybody was there for the game. Oh, this is good. So my 9-year-old, Drew. He tends to fall asleep watching television, just about every night. Like he'll just be on the couch, he'll be involved in the conversation, and then you'll say something to him, and you'll realize, oh wait, he's snoring now. Yesterday, he fell asleep, so he wanted to watch the game because he had a Kenneth Walker on his fantasy team. He's in his semifinal playoffs, and he was very excited to see him. And he had that 55-yard touchdown run, and I turned to Drew and realized he was asleep. So, he missed the thing he was there for. He fell asleep a minute before that, probably. But then we just let him sleep on the couch till he wakes up, and then he'll go up to bed. Nate, the 11-year-old, was in the room, and I didn't see this, but these are quotes from Nate. He said at one point, Drew just kind of, he coughed, and it kind of woke him up. And he said within 2 seconds of being awake, Drew said, "Who's winning?" And Nate, knowing that Drew was half asleep, said, "The Bills." To which Drew said, "Who are they playing?" To which Nate said, "The Dodgers." To which Drew said, "I'm going to go to bed." And that was the whole conversation. Who's winning? The Bills. Who are they playing? The Dodgers. I'm going to go to bed. So I'm sure by now he's aware of the 55-yard touchdown and the result of the game. But in the moment, he was out of it and just had to go to sleep. So that was fun. We just talked forever about the Sabres. They've won 4 games in a row, which is interesting. It'd be more interesting if that would allow them to climb anywhere in the standings. But still, 15-4-4 is a respectable record, even if it says 8th place in the division and tied at the bottom of the conference and up on a tiebreaker, I guess. But I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. I don't know. I love having Paul on, but I mean, you think about the fact that that's probably like the second or third time in 230 episodes that I felt compelled to bring Paul in because I wanted to talk about the hockey team. So I didn't watch the game. I paid attention because I was interested, and especially because I knew Paul was going to be on. But I was mostly focused on NFC football last night. What about this weekend has you interested in the world of sports? Because obviously the Bills taking on Cleveland, not a super flashy, glamorous game, but one that they could win and put themselves much more in the playoffs, obviously, but keep things going for their quest to get the AFC East. Are you ruling out the AFC East for the Bills? Because I'm not.
No, not at all. I think there's obviously the college football playoff starts tonight with Alabama, Oklahoma, and then the other 3 games are on Saturday. So that will be interesting. Miami is at A&M, and then you've got the 2 group of 5 teams who I am pulling for strongly. I don't think that they will win, but I think that I hope that it's going to be much more competitive than what everybody is saying.
It's Tulane, and who's the other one?
It's Tulane going to Ole Miss, and it is James Madison traveling to Eugene, Oregon.
I forgot about James Madison, right?
So, I'm rooting for those 2 teams to do something and stand up for the little guys who we preach on here about all the time. And, they have earned their way in. They deserve their way in. It's ridiculous, all the heat that they've been facing about being in. They deserve to be in. And, hey, don't have Duke win your conference, and
right.
Everything is fine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to have to deal with teams that win 12 games that are going to be in the playoff. So there's that. But, the NFL, there's some big games this weekend. For the Bills, can you force Shedeur Sanders to look like Shedeur Sanders and make him uncomfortable and force him into some bad throws? I think they probably can. but traditionally this is the type of game where the Bills have been known to play with their food a little bit. That would be the only thing I would be worried about, especially coming off of a pretty emotional comeback win in a big divisional game last week on the road. You know, eventually here, you're asking Josh to put on the cape. Eventually, it'd be nice if they would just win by a bunch.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
And not have to do that.
Yeah, take a lead, not give it away. Yeah.
How about in the other things in the NFL? We talked a little bit about, I don't remember if it was last Friday or if it was Monday, but Joe Burrow. He continues to float things out there.
Yeah, that quote the other day was something. Yeah, I think people think about a lot of things. Or you think about a lot of things is what it was, right?
Yeah, it was. He was asked, "Is there, can you envision a scenario in which you're not the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals next year?" To which he said, "No, not really." And then he was asked another vague question about, do you think about other situations? And he just kind of took a pause and said, think about a lot of things. Which is,
yeah,
I know that we parse through this stuff and sometimes we make more of it than we should, but I think Joe Burrow is a very intelligent person who in the past has been fairly measured and straightforward with his responses. And his response was not, "I am the quarterback of the Bengals. I have signed a long-term contract. I fully plan on being here for the rest of my career," which is something that he could have easily said.
Right.
And instead he said,
"I'm taking the heat off," and made it so that nobody talks about this anymore.
Right. And instead his answer was, "Yeah, people think about a lot of things, don't they?" And, I think, I don't want to say that we've been way out in front because a lot of people have been talking about this, but there's smoke there. I'm not saying that there's a 4-alarm fire going on there, but there's some smoke. There's smoke there. And I think that it's right to kind of pay attention to that. Because I think if you ask Josh Allen right now, "Josh, do you envision yourself being the quarterback for a team other than the Buffalo Bills?" He would immediately say, "No,
never. I'm never doing that." Right.
No, I have no plans on playing anywhere other than here. I love it here. And I think that rightfully so, everybody would have a lot of attention on it if Josh said, "I don't know, man, people think a lot of things, huh?" or something along those lines. It would get a lot of attention. And Burrow being one of the best in the league, I think is going to be drawing an awful lot of attention here coming up.
Well,
this offseason.
I just hope it's NFC attention because I like the idea. I can right now just sit here and consider the Chiefs' dominance chapter of my life over. Like, I can picture that. I don't know that it's 100% true, but there's a world where Mahomes is never right again, and Kelsey retires, and Andy Reid might be on his way out, and it just kind of breaks up. And it's they've always been a good franchise. I don't remember a time where they weren't pretty good in my lifetime. They've always they're one of those teams. So I would expect they rebound okay from that. But their level of dominance and just having them hanging over the Bills, I can see a world where that's done. And then the next team I think about is, you want to say Baltimore, but they haven't really been a problem for the Bills. The Bills have played them twice in the playoffs, handled them twice in the playoffs. There's no fear whatsoever from me when I see Lamar lining up as the other quarterback, but I do have a little bit of a hang-up on Burrow because of the DeMar year where, it looked like they were going to beat him in the regular season game, and then a couple weeks later they got to play him in the playoffs, and they took care of him, and they went to the Super Bowl, all that stuff. That vanishing from the AFC would be a relief to me as a fan of the Bills. So and then what am I thinking about next? Now I'm back to the Chargers. I'm back to, what are the Colts? What are the Colts? I don't know. Jaguars? Is that what I'm supposed to? I don't know. It just, the whole thing clears up if you kick Mahomes and Burrow out of the conference.
Yeah. Things get a lot less sticky in that.
Yeah.
In that, if you just continue to have the MVP and everybody else loses theirs.
I guess the Patriots, you got to worry about the Patriots coming up, but that's okay.
Yeah, you can still deal with that.
Yeah.
You get them twice; they're in your division. It's not some. The other two always kind of loom as like an existential threat
Right.
because you
That's
don't
totally
see
right.
them, and they are still looming. And a lot of times you're dealing with playoff positioning against a team that you're not going to see. I know they played the Chiefs a bunch, but
Yeah.
still, that
It's not the same.
losing that, yeah, it's not the same. Some other NFL notes that I came across this week that I think are fun. Caleb Williams, we talked about this before the season. Caleb Williams, and we've talked actually about the Bears a bunch, about how they haven't had a quarterback since Sid Luckman. They've never had a 4,000-yard passer in the history of the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams needs to average 283 yards a game for the rest of the season, and he could be the first Bear to break that 4,000-yard barrier. So that could be a big milestone. We're talking about one of the major flagship franchises in the history of the NFL having something that everybody else has done, but they never have. Could be on the way here. And that, I think, their turnaround this year has been one of the true stories of the NFL and how Caleb Williams has developed, and it appears that they got the coaching switch right, and they have been winning a lot of close games. And for Caleb Williams to finally, I don't want to say finally, it's only his second year, but that was a rough first year, and there was already a lot of people saying, I don't know if this is going to work already.
Well, it didn't happen.
And
it didn't help that
it
Jaden
appears
Daniels
that
was
he's
off
good.
doing his thing, and that Drake May was off doing his thing,
right.
like all that stuff. And then Daniels kind of disappears this year. Williams on the rise. Ben Johnson coming in there obviously was helpful to them. When we saw them in the preseason, I thought, because remember all the hype last year. Williams coming in as the number one pick, and they got Odunze, and they brought in, I don't know, was it DJ Moore or whatever. It was like, watch out for the Bears. Like, you know what? Let's see if the guy can play. Let's see if the quarterback can play as a rookie. And it didn't go exceptionally well. But when we saw them in the preseason, I thought, all that hype on the Bears last year with Ben Johnson on the sideline suddenly seems like maybe this is the year we should be thinking about them. And I remember talking about this with you early in the year in the preseason, and it's still, even though we did have that conversation, even though I've had that in my brain, still looking at the standings and seeing where the Bears are right now is borderline shocking. It didn't used to be this way. We have to think about, I remember the year that it ended up being Kurt Warner and the Rams against the Titans in the Super Bowl. I remember joking halfway through the season because they played each other in the regular season, and like one was 7-1 and one was 8-0 or something like that. And I remember joking with somebody like, Super Bowl preview here, huh? Because it was kind of a joke because these teams had come out of nowhere. Teams do come out of nowhere now. So the NFL playoffs are going to be populated with a bunch of, are we serious about this? Like, we would have thought, Detroit would be a powerhouse this year. They might not make the playoffs. Chicago being heavily involved. Seattle being heavily involved. The Rams, I think we knew were pretty good. They won a Super Bowl not that long ago with the same coach and same quarterback, so they had to be thought of. But, what is Denver? What are the Patriots? What is Jacksonville? What's Indy? There's just a lot of, I have no idea who's real and who's not. And, reputations are going to be made come January. But all these teams jockeying for position. I don't remember a season like this where there were so many, wow, that team's a surprise, that are in the real conversation to possibly represent their conference in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely did not see Jacksonville. I did not see Seattle looking like this. So yeah, there's been a lot of that, and Chicago's the head of that list. I know that they got the new coach and everything, but hey, let's just, basically every team that you just listed was down by multiple scores to the New York Giants and won. So
sorry, that's not what that's not what I was trying to do there.
No, I know, but still, yeah. And another big thing this week was, hey, and we are as people that follow the Bills, we are big fans of Tua. Love that he was locked up long term.
Yeah, plays
by
twice
the
a year.
Dolphins and we play him twice a year. Love that he's there. He stinks. We've been saying it for a long time, and he got benched this week. And It's another one of these smaller quarterbacks that never really progressed, that are also on the bench, that also have huge contracts. The other one being Kyler Murray out in Arizona, who has just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth for Brissett to come in and do things, because people were just pissed and had enough of seeing the Oakland A's second baseman play quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. So, there's the reason why the Burrow thing we talk about is because it's not just the bad teams at the top of the draft that the Raiders need a quarterback, the Giants don't, but they have a young quarterback. All the Jets, all those teams that's at the top of the draft position right now, they're all going to need a quarterback. There's also other teams out there that are going to still need quarterbacks and want quarterbacks. So the Tua thing being the latest, it's going to be fun to see what they do with him in the offseason. His dead cap hit is monstrous for next year. And I know that the cap is fake and you can manipulate it any way you want, and I'm sure that they will, but that's still a huge number that they're going to have to try and get around if he's not going to be their quarterback next year. And when you've got a coach that hasn't won and they've already fired the GM, it sure feels like the coach right now saying, all right, I have a whole truckload of crap that I need to dump in someone's lap to try and keep my job. And, oh, look, there's Tua. Hold this for me. Now, in the coach's defense, Tua sucks, but he was still one of the guys there that made the decision to pay him all that money.
They paid him.
So it's on him.
I guess this is the first time I've ever looked at these numbers. I think about,
it's absurd.
This is the craziest contract I've ever seen. 4 years, $212 million for Tua, $42,000 signing bonus, $167 million guaranteed in the contract, average annual salary of $53 million. That's crazy. Base salary of $25 this year, signing bonus of $25, workout bonus of $250K, carrying a cap hit of $39 million, and a dead cap value of $137,896,000. That's this year.
Yeah.
Next year it drops to a mere $99 million dead cap hit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If they just cut him, they're removing a third of their team.
Wow.
So that's going to be real interesting to keep an eye on how are they going to deal with that? It's almost to a point where, very similar to the Browns, what are they going to do with Deshaun Watson? They can't. He's got to be on the team.
Yep.
He's got to be there. So that's going to be interesting. Then, the Kyler Murray has a massive contract as well. They appear done with it. There's going to be some shuffling and some roulette done here. But when I was thinking about Tua, and then that led me to Kyler Murray, I was just looking up at Cardinals quarterbacks and came across some stats here about the Arizona Cardinals, because they kind of get lost in they're just always bad.
Yep.
Except for the 2 years that they had Kurt Warner, where the 1 year they were competitive, and then the next year they went to the Super Bowl. And then before that and after that, they've just been awful.
My whole life. In the same way, what I said about the Chiefs is the opposite about the Cardinals. From the time I was collecting football cards when I was 6 years old, the Chiefs are all right. The Cardinals were terrible. And that has continued, and I'm 51.
Right. Carson Palmer is the only quarterback to have a winning record for the Cardinals. And that's a minimum of 10 games.
Oh, my God.
He's the only one. And then I looked that up, and obviously it gets into my algorithm. And then I see a tweet that says, if the Arizona Cardinals win out this year and then go 17-0 for the next 13 seasons, they will still be 3 games under 500 as a franchise.
Yo.
I mean, you're talking about 13 seasons of perfect football, and they're still bad.
Well, when I was a kid, their best player was a guard. I mean, Dan Deerdorf was their stud, and that didn't get him anything. And they haven't done much since then either. So, wow, that's crazy. 17 years?
13 seasons.
I'm sorry, 13 seasons of 17-0 if they win out this year. Then
they
that
win out
next
this year. Then they go 17-0 in the regular season for the next 13 seasons.
And then in
They're
like
still 3 games under 500.
And then in 2053, they could go past the 500 mark.
Right.
2043. Did I do that wrong? 2043. Sorry, not 2053. But either way.
You're the math guy. I'm leaning on you there.
I'm the math guy. I'm no math guy. I had a problem yesterday. So it's well documented that I'm not great at waking up in the morning. You have experienced this as my roommate for UB road trips. I'll have an alarm going off next to my head forever without even noticing it. I've been doing better with that, but I do have a system set up where I have to solve math problems to shut the alarm off. And the other day I woke up and I just blanked on like 8 times 7. And it was so frustrating. It was, part of it is like, wow, I'm old. Part of it is I'm still asleep. But I manage every day. I manage to do 2 math problems to shut off the thing. And I was just stuck. And I eventually I was like, well, I know 9 times 7 is 63. So I guess I'll subtract 7 and I eventually landed on 56 being the right answer. But just in the moment, like I was talking about with my son, Drew, when he first woke up, he's like, who's winning? Bills, who they playing? Dodgers. Like, brain's not working yet. And I just couldn't do 8 times 6, and it was frustrating. Or 7 times, whatever the number was, 9 times, I don't know. A simple math problem, an equation that I've known since, 3rd grade. Was not available to me.
Your problem isn't once you hear the alarm waking up. It's the hearing the alarm.
Well, that's the first problem. Is hearing it.
That to me, from my experience with you, is the main problem. Is that you're not even getting to. It's not like you have a snooze problem. You've got a.
I have that problem too.
You've got a nothing's getting through.
Yeah.
Nothing's getting through. You are in a different dimension.
Yeah.
And there is not a phone there. You are.
You know what I blame this on, right? Do you know what I blame this on? I've told this story before. I grew up next to a fire hall. And as a kid, from the time I was 3 years old until I went away to college, I lived next to a fire hall where at any point, any time, an alarm could go off basically right next to my head. And I had to learn to adapt and sleep through it. And I really believe that I trained myself by living next to a fire hall to sleep through noise. Well, I had it happen. We had an actual fire in our college dorm where somebody had to come kick the window to wake me up. The alarm didn't do it. The window kicking somehow did, and I got out, and everything was fine. But the building was evacuated, and somebody was like, "Where's Brad?" And I was sleeping through the fire. The fire was nowhere near me. I was never in imminent danger. But there was a fire in the building. We evacuated, and the alarm did not do enough to wake me up to get outside the building. That's who I am.
You were going to blame Sleepy Joe Biden.
Nope. I don't blame anybody. Just a fire hall. All right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we need to touch on.
Well, yeah, there's one other thing. Can we please gloat over the fact that the Ohio Bobcats?
Oh, that's the thing. That was the thing. I didn't have it written down.
Have had to fire their head coach for some nefarious activities off the field, and it's about time that they are dealing with some upheaval here again. It feels like they've been able to just kind of live their perfect little life down there in the hole called Athens, Ohio. And just no matter what happens, they just keep on chugging. And they had to fire their coach with cause this week. I know everybody paying attention to Michigan, but a similar situation down there with the Bobcats. Their head coach was fired for having relationships, extramarital affairs with undergrad students, and then also keeping booze in their office. The booze in the office thing, I'm willing to give him a pass on. What's interesting is that apparently Brian Smith, who is the head coach or was the head coach there at Ohio, his lawyers have put out that their argument is going to be, there's nothing specifically in the rules that say that an employee can't have a relationship with an undergrad student. Yeah. And that's probably one of those things because it's there's also no rule that says you can't stick your face in a vat of battery acid. It's just kind of one of those things.
Just don't do it. Just don't.
It's just kind of understood that you don't do. But he did do it, and the details are hilarious because apparently he is getting busted by being fairly brazen about it, taking chicks over to the University Inn across the street from the stadium where we have stayed a number of times.
Yeah.
It's a great place, but that's where everybody stays. So the players' families are in there seeing the head coach
Right.
cheating on his wife. He claims it wasn't cheating, that they were separated, but let's be real. I'm sure that it probably was.
Well, all of it is optics. All of it is optics, and he had no
yeah.
recognition of how bad he was making himself and the entire program and university look, or no acknowledgement of it. But do you just love this story way more because the University Inn is involved, and like the stuff that happened could be in a room that we stayed in? You know, he could have been charming her on that same piano that we've messed around with on our way out to the bars. Like there's
like a 300 room hotel, and it's one story. So I'm picturing he's like, all right, yeah, we're going to go hook up at the hotel across from the stadium after the game, and all the families are there. And I'm picturing that he gets room like 265, where we have experienced this. It's like a 5-minute walk through the hallways to get to the other end of this property. And he's just walking past everybody and exposing himself to them.
With a 19-year-old
there's like
or whatever.
3 rooms up front, but that's a sprawling thing that's all basically one floor. And you have to walk through it all in order to get to some of the rooms. So
yeah, it's a hotel that kind of feels
a bad room.
It's a hotel that kind of feels like a hotel on a campus. It kind of feels dorm-ish. But yeah, it's a ranch property, if you will. So yeah, you've got to you got to trek past everyone if you're in the back by where the fire pits are.
Right. Yeah, I love the story. I love the defense.
The defense is great.
I love the defense is great. It's the whole thing is great. There's a messy divorce mixed in there as well that makes it even more entertaining. And unfortunately for Brian Smith, he got his shot to be a head coach, and then spent most of it trying to woo nursing students
at the university. Yeah.
At the university, and now he's having a hard time. He's out of a job.
Do you think
a wife?
Do you think he and Sharon Moore have had any sort of conversations about how'd you get taken down, man? Like because it's kind of similar. I mean, minus the arrest and the breaking and entering or whatever we want to call it. Minus all that, it's kind of the same type of thing. And I don't know. I think they'd have some things in common. They could have a conversation about their lives, and kind of they could feel seen, as the kids say. Like you feel seen. Hey, what's wrong with this?
I think if you really look at it, you can almost understand Sharon more, because all right, he's a football coach. He's in the office 13 hours a day, grinding away. There's the assistant. She's always there. They have a close relationship as it is. Things can happen. They, workplace stuff between coworkers happens all the time. And it's because when you really think about it, we are, while awake, around people that we work with just as much as we are anybody else. And there he is. I can get that. Brian Smith is a married head football coach out pursuing undergrad co-eds. That to me seems much more of a blatant red flag for a university to try and get rid of somebody than Sharon Moore having an affair with somebody that he's in the office with and spends the most time with.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the power dynamics, and obviously you can't do it. Obviously, he's got to go. But there seems to be a much more flagrant problem with the head football coach dating undergrad co-eds.
Well, the fact that the letter was made public and we could read the letter that was sent to Brian Smith saying, "Hey, just a heads up, we're going to fire you, and here are the reasons we're going to fire you. Pursuant to this, very legal. Pursuant to this, here are the rules, and then here's what you did, and then here's another rule, and then here's what you did." And it's all just laid out there. It's very interesting and fun, in large part because it happened to a rival of the UB Bulls in a place where we never win. So, University Inn being implicated in some way, I like it there. I like when we stay there. It's way better to stay there than to stay anywhere else and have to drive for an hour before the game. So it's preferable, but I like that place being a part of it because there's something dirty going on down there. That place is always full. We can never get in, and obviously we've been in sometimes, but I don't know. I like all of it. I like all of it kind of falling apart for a team that's been probably the most steady football program since I've been doing games, which is like 17 years. So that's
when
nice
it comes
to see
to that,
a chink in the armor.
When it comes to being able to stay at that hotel, it's funny how when the preseason picks us last or second to last at the time in our division, it always seems to be open. And then when we're picked to be in the top 3 or 4 teams in the conference, somehow we have to stay in Columbus.
Yeah.
So they are definitely tricky with that. There's some. It's owned by the university, so I'm sure that there's a little bit of back and forth about how that is handled. Have you noticed anything weird with like your algorithms lately, as far as stuff that just pops up?
I know that it seems like ICE is trying to recruit me to work for them.
Okay, because for the last week, completely unprompted and out of nowhere, I have been receiving on my Twitter timeline a good deal of content regarding raccoons being domesticated.
No, I haven't experienced this. Is that a thing? People are doing that?
It started with, I saw the first story that came across was they're doing studies, and this scientist thinks that these are the next 5 animals that would be domesticated or evolution-wise looks like they are the next group along the line of smaller cats and dogs to be domesticated.
Okay.
And number 1 there was raccoons. There were also some other smaller lines. I read it, and it was interesting because it's like,
it is interesting.
If you look evolution-wise at the animals that are domesticated, raccoons are following in a very similar fashion in which their nose and snout are getting smaller and coming back closer to their head, and listed a bunch of other things. And now it's like every 4th thing is someone posting like holding a raccoon, petting it. I'm just inundated. I read one article about domestication of animals, and it was interesting. And now it's just constant raccoons. It's like, oh look, I'm holding my raccoon. Oh look, at this raccoon lives with me, and it's domesticated raccoon. I don't know how to get rid of it. I'm full of raccoons.
There's a part of me that wants to read that article and see if it happens for me, because I'm very interested in this. Because the more I think about it, it is crazy that dogs and cats are the 2 that we've got. Sometimes little pot-bellied pigs. People have those.
Pigs was in that.
People have those.
Was in that.
But it does seem as though we're ready to do another one. But now I want to know the history of it. Like, how far back does it go? And how was the first decision made? Like, this wild dog that lives outside, I'm going to bring him in the house. See how it goes. Like, how did they do that? It's like, how do you way jump for the first time? Let's just test it. You've been reading
article
it. Yeah, tell me.
In the article, it did mention that way back in the day, wolves would be able to follow humans and scavenge off of their kills. Like, the wolves kind of figured out, like, hey, this animal over here has become very adept at killing things, and they can't always finish their meal. And they ended up kind of being able to follow them along on the hunt and stopped killing the humans, because the humans were, in a way, helping them procure food.
Okay.
And so then it's just one of those things where they just kind of ended up getting closer and closer and closer.
So you're saying it was the wolves' idea, not the people's idea? The wolves thought
I'm just...
the wolves domesticated themselves. I think that's what you're saying.
That's right.
Come for the football, stay for the science. I think this is real. Okay. All right, so the wolves follow the people, and then who is like, that wolf's been following us for a while. He seems cool. Let's have him in. Let's invite him in. Let's give him a bowl of food. How about that? That's probably all it takes, right? If you just
it eventually became
feed things enough.
Can we teach this thing to hunt for us and with us and help us? And I think that they were able to kind of work that out. And then from there, we just kind of decided we're buds.
As our senior raccoon correspondent, can you confirm or deny the following statement that just appeared in the chat?
Okay.
It says, raccoons understand revenge. You wrong a raccoon, it remembers, and it eats your face a decade later. Is this true?
Well, they don't. To me, raccoons seem very dangerous. I would not choose to domesticate a raccoon.
I'm not going to domesticate anything.
It seems like that would be.
I want somebody else to do
very, very hard because, if you look, like DNA wise, we're the closest to the chimpanzees. Like it's like ridiculous how close we are.
Mm-hmm.
And you can raise a chimpanzee from infancy.
Yeah.
And eventually they're going to eat your nose and rip your balls off.
Yeah.
Because they're going to go chimp. They're going to eventually.
Yeah. You got to expect that.
Right. I mean, ask Siegfried and Roy. Eventually that tiger is going to go tiger. He's going to eat your neck.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the situation
don't
is
hunt crocodiles
with raccoons. I've tried now in my head I'm thinking, all right, I'm kind of interested in this, but it was a fleeting moment, and if I click on any other raccoon content, it's going to continue.
Yeah,
it's going to be like, see, I knew you'd like raccoon content.
Yeah.
And now it's going to keep pumping me with raccoon content. So like right now it's like my algorithm is NFL story, a 17-year-old kid committing to a college for football, somebody's in the transfer portal. Hey, this raccoon lives at home with me. And I don't know how. The only way I can do it is I can't. All right, I can't click on this. I kind of want to see the video of how this raccoon is living at this person's house, but if I click on it, then now I'm gonna get, hey, look at me walk my raccoon.
Did you see the Florida raccoon that broke into the liquor store?
I did see that.
That was a couple weeks ago.
That was great.
The story was written as if there was a breaking and entering, an invasion at this liquor store. And they did a ton of damage and then passed out in the bathroom. And it showed the liquor store, all the shelves, like the aisle was just broken glass and liquid everywhere. And apparently the raccoon got into it a little bit and then passed out on the bathroom floor. So it was just a face down, passed out raccoon. It had fallen in through the ceiling and then just got loaded. And then, so that was the gateway story. Like I could have fallen into this raccoon trap, if you will, like you did, just by reading that story. But that was my one and only. The fact that I'm saying raccoon out loud in front of my phone and my computer 1,000 times, I have a feeling that might show up for me too.
Yeah, well, I mean, that could be the origin story of how, in 300 years, somebody is having a podcast and asks, I wonder how, I love my raccoon. I wonder who made the decision, what happened that we started bringing raccoons inside. And then someone can say, actually, funny story, in Florida, this raccoon just got shit-faced hammered. And then humans just went, oh, I can get with that.
I can hang out with that guy. That guy's cool. I can
hang out with this.
Seems like a bunch of my friends. Honestly.
Yeah, this guy
little shorter, a little hairier, longer tail than most of my friends, but there's something here I can get behind.
This is just my friend Jim that works at the warehouse, but he's got longer nails.
And night vision.
But he only comes out at night. Yeah. So.
Do you want to do a pick for this weekend?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Good reminder.
Hit me.
Yes. It's coming up in a couple of hours.
Ooh.
I would have. Western Michigan already teed off here, and they are. Last I checked, we're up 2 scores already on Kennesaw State. I would have taken them, but it was too late. Coming up here in a couple of hours, it's the Gasparilla Bowl.
Ooh.
And I'm going to take the North Carolina State Wolfpack -3.5 taking on Memphis. NC State, most of their team is still there and will be playing. Memphis has lost their coach to Arkansas. He will not be there. So they've got like an interim coach. They've got some players into the portal, although they have been able to retain most of them because the portal hasn't opened up officially. But, I think it's going to be one of those game time things where probably a couple more players that we don't anticipate being, not playing, probably won't be playing. We saw that last year when the Bulls played Liberty, where all of a sudden, hey, that 2 deep, half of it's not going to be here today. So Memphis also closed the season losing 3 straight. North Carolina State, their last 3 games were all pretty big wins. They beat North Carolina, Florida State, and then at the time, number 5, Georgia Tech. So NC State's been hot, and they have their coach and most of their players, and Memphis does not have their coach, ended cold, and it's only 3.5. So I'll take that. And I do want to say, for people out there, on ABC on Saturday, I think at 4:00, it's the FCS playoffs, it's the semifinals, and it is Brawl of the Wild Part 2, Montana at Montana State, up there in the cold and the mountains, 2 rivals. They really do not like each other. It's going to be a monster game. Whoever wins that game is going to be a heavy favorite to win the national championship the following week or in 2 weeks, whenever it is. So that is a big game. It's a big game in the regular season, but now you're throwing winner to the championship on top of that. And that's interesting. If I had to take a bet, I wouldn't touch it, but if I had to, I'd say Montana plus 5.5. I think they've been playing better of late than Montana State. But still, just saying, if some of the playoff games get out of hand and are no longer enjoyable to watch, ABC still does have a big-time rivalry. And this is like if they had the Iron Bowl,
but in Montana,
and the winner went to the national championship. It's just, it's much better to look at in Montana than Alabama.
Yeah.
There's a lot on the line up there.
That's fun. Do you know what Gasparilla is or what it means? Have you looked that word up?
Is it not like a Tampa Pirate thing?
It absolutely is a Tampa Pirate thing. It's a Tampa, Florida's legendary annual pirate festival centered around the invasion of the city by the mythical pirate Jose Gaspar, which makes me think we should be saying Gasparilla and his crew, featuring a massive flotilla of boats and a large parade with floats, bands, and pirates tossing beads, celebrating the city's folklore since 1904. It's a huge event with parades, music, costumes, community activities, making it one of the country's largest celebrations. Sounds like Mardi Gras but pirates.
Yes. It also sounds, that description right there and the bowl game, that sounds very much like it should be a MAC Bowl.
Yes.
That is right in line with what we like to do. So if we can get that
Pillage?
somehow switched over to us, whenever MAC teams win on the road against power opponents, we do fly a pirate flag.
That's an excellent point.
Every team in the conference does get
That's
a pirate
an excellent point. Yeah, we got to get involved in this one. Because I don't like the state of Florida at all, but December, January, I would take a trip to Florida. Like, we're going to go to Miami in September. It's going to be hot and sweaty and gross.
Yeah.
But I could use a little Tampa right now. Yeah, that sounds awesome. All right,
when there's beads involved.
And
absolutely.
beads, yeah, parades and pirates and what's not to like. All right, so next week is Christmas. We're going to not do shows Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but we will be on Monday, Tuesday. So I'll plan on talking to you Monday at 11 like we always do.
What a way to add on the bummer. But okay.
How's that a bummer?
All right. No post-Christmas show? No post-Christmas show?
Probably not.
I can't get a recap of Christmas?
You get a recap of Christmas the following Monday, and then we'll do 2 shows that week, and then we won't recap New Year's either, I think. I don't know. I'm just telling you, we're not doing Christmas Eve. We're not doing Christmas Day. That's for sure. And I have a feeling I'm not going to do Friday either.
For a second, I was thinking maybe you were going to say Christmas Eve, midnight mass, midnight rider radio.
I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that. That is more likely than a 10 a.m. show. Midnight, I can do whatever I want at midnight. Nobody else is around. Nobody's awake. Midnight massive show. Midnight, I'm going to play with it. I'll put it in ChatGPT.
Hey, how many Christmas cookies do you think you take down in about 8 minutes?
No. This is not my life. This is not what I'm going to become. We did
I don't have
pistachios.
the
We
thing
did
in front
donuts.
of me, but there is a record for fudge. You could do a fudge.
I'm not
thing.
doing fudge. Oh God, the idea
You could do
of
fudge.
just that idea. One piece of fudge. No, I don't like fudge.
Fudge.
One piece of fudge is too much fudge to me. It's too sweet. It's too sweet. Like I could feel it in my face just thinking about eating a piece of fudge. How it makes like a tingly thing in my cheeks. I don't want that. Too sweet. No fudge. No fudge. No cookies.
What about like Buckeyes?
No.
Or peanut butter cookies?
No. I'm trying to get out of the game, man.
Yeah, but you can't.
I know.
Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in.
It's got to be.
the
You know
whole
what? Here's what I'll say. While it is a little frustrating that this is what I've become to you, I will say that every time you bring one up, there's a chance that you're going to hit on something where I'm like, well, that sounds easy.
I know.
You know, so that most of the time I guess this is like you got a friend that keeps asking you to go to a Bills game with them, or when are you going to come to my house to watch a Bills game? I'm like, I'm not. I watch the Bills at my house with my family all the time, but he keeps asking and he keeps asking. There's got to be a time when I'm like, yeah, all right, that does sound good because of X, Y, and Z. That does sound like something I could pull off. You know, well, how come we never go to concerts together? Well, because I'm always busy but if you keep asking, one of these times, I'm going to go, oh, actually, that one sounds okay. So keep it coming. I'll continue to shoot most of them down, but you'll find another one. We'll find something by the time we're on the road.
How much milk do you think you could take down?
I'm not doing
What
milk.
if we did like a milk and cookies?
No. Well, honestly, when you brought up the peanut butter cookies, my first thought was, those are delicious. Then my next thought was...
See, that's all it takes.
No, it's not. Because the next thought was, I need milk, and I'm not doing that. I'm not doing competitive milk. That's awful.
Yes.
No.
Come on.
Nope. I'd sooner eat seafood Newburg again. Oh, are you aware that the Medea movie that came out in 2025 and is on Netflix is entirely based at the Atlantis Resort in the Bahamas?
I was not aware of that.
I have never watched a Medea movie. I've seen, a minute here or there, but I intend to watch this one because I saw one screenshot from it and I recognize the exact part of the facility, and I will do that. I'll watch. It's kind of like the touchdown celebration thing where it's just kind of a Where's Waldo type of thing, or a I Spy. We're like, oh, I know that building, I know that street, I know that intersection, but this would be Atlantis Resort in the Bahamas with all the sites that we have grown to love in our you had 3 trips down there. So I'm
right.
sort of assigning you the Medea. I don't remember what it's called, but it's the 2025 Medea movie, Tyler Perry joint, that is on Netflix right now that I'm going to watch at some point in the near future, and I would like it if you watch it too.
That to me feels very much like it could be on the slate for this weekend.
All right, do it.
I'm excited. That's a Netflix situation.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up real quick, but Medea.
Wait,
Atlantis.
can we guess the name?
You can guess the name.
Medea, Medea in Paradise.
Almost.
Medea, rum and coke.
The picture that I have right now shows that it came out on July 11th, and it shows Medea drinking out of what looks like, I don't know if that would be a
skull.
I don't know if that would be a coconut with a straw, but some kind of round, fruity something. And I will say that wrapped around the straw is a ring containing diamonds. This is me giving you clues here on the name of the movie.
Is this like a diamond heist?
It's
movie?
not a diamond heist movie. It's a single ring with a diamond prominently displayed.
I could be intrigued if Medea has to get married and is marrying a female dressed as a guy.
Okay.
Since it's Tyler Perry dressed as a woman.
Right. Yep. I don't know what's going to happen in the movie, but I do know that you're onto something. You're trying to get the name here.
Getting married. Medea gets married.
No. Well, what would
Medea gets a ring?
It's not the. This movie's title is not a sentence. This movie is called Medea's blank. It's 2 words, one of which was implied by the engagement ring I already explained.
Cornhole.
It's not Medea's cornhole. No, you're way off. Medea, the day that you add something
toe
else,
fetish.
the day that you add another ring to the engagement ring is the day of your.
Oh, Medea's wedding day.
Okay, it's Medea's blank wedding. Let's think about this.
Tropical.
Okay, it is tropical. That's not the word we're looking for.
Oh no.
Medea.
Surprise.
It's not a surprise, but everybody had to go to the Bahamas for
Destination.
it. Medea's Destination Wedding is the movie you're looking for.
Okay.
Only on Netflix, July 11th, and I'm seeing this on the Atlantis Bahamas website. So they were very excited about it. But yeah, I read about that as I don't remember if it was in a list of the 10 best or the 10 worst movies of Netflix of 2025, but it was on one of those lists. And the picture I saw was I knew the background, so I'm gonna watch it. You should watch it. Medea's Destination Wedding. Everyone should watch it. Let's all watch it. Come on, let's all watch our first Tyler Perry movie. Have you watched ever a Tyler Perry movie?
I think I have seen the first Medea.
Okay. I saw him.
I could be confusing it. I could also be confusing it in my head with Big Mama's House.
Okay.
The Big Mama's House series, which is what's his name? Dressed up as an old woman who just is known as Big Mama.
Yeah, who is that?
The whole movie is just
is that Martin Lawrence?
Martin, yes. I think it's Martin Lawrence, and the whole movie he just goes, oh.
Yeah, it's Martin Lawrence.
Yeah, like an old lady.
All right.
But I could be wrong, but I think I saw the first one.
Well, I think I've never seen
the first one was very, very popular. It was a big thing. Had like big names in it. The first one, and then they have really. I mean, this is like.
Was that Diary of a Mad Black Woman or something like that?
Might have been. This is, now they're treating it like Chubby Checker did the Twist.
Yes.
Where every year it's like,
ooh, peppermint twist.
Let's twist again.
Let's continue twisting. Let's twist for a fourth summer in consecutive order.
Right.
All right. So yeah, watch that movie and then we'll talk about it. And everybody else should watch it too. I've never seen one of his movies. I saw him in Don't Look Up, which was also a Netflix movie a couple of years ago that I thought was awesome.
Oh, he's been in a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
That's the only thing I've knowingly been like, hey, there's Tyler Perry, and he was fine. He wasn't trusted as Medea at the time. But I'm gonna watch it. You should watch it. We'll catch up. We'll catch up next week. All right. I'm done. Thanks, Scott.
See ya.
Bye. For Scott Wilson. Thanks to Scott. Thanks to our good friend Paul Hamilton, who joined us on the show today as well. Look at the chat real quick. I recall an on-air conversation circa 2010 I had with you and Scott about raccoon traps I made as a kid. They were more like raccoon beer can alarms. You don't trap raccoons just for fun. That's from my buddy Ben. I don't recall that at all. But I believe you, Ben. I'm sure. Ben was in studio at WEC at some point. Ben lives in the Capital District, Albany area, Saratoga area, Scotia, to be quite clear. Well, no, Glendale, but he grew up in Scotia. It's all the same thing. But Ben at some point was in town, and I remember was in studio, and I think Ben and Ray Walter were probably together in studio, and Scott was the producer, and I was the host, so we were all together at some point. Ben's not lying. He remembers. I've done 10,000 radio shows. Ben's done that one. And he's called into our show a couple times as my senior rugby correspondent. But, all right, I believe you, Ben. I believe you about your raccoon beer can alarms. Good move. Good idea. Thanks for bringing it up. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for a whole week of fun shows. And we look forward to doing it again with episode 231, which will come your way Monday at 10 a.m. And again, we'll cut the week short because it's Christmas. But I'm not opposed to some kind of midnight masterpiece, midnight massive pod, midnight something. Scott's calling back. All right, I'm just going to assume he knows I'm still on, and assume that he knows that he's live on the show. Scott Wilson's back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I know you're trying to wrap, but I just received a text message, and I sent the clip along to you. I will hang up. It's of the Flyers Sabres broadcast last night from the Flyers.
Okay.
And it's a pretty good piece, about 35 seconds of audio, where it becomes apparent that the announcers think that they're in commercial, and they are not.
Oh, okay. Is it the Buffalo announcers or the Flyers announcers? Or is
It's
it
the
national?
Flyers announcers.
Okay, I'm in. All right, good. I don't want to call out our own friends here, but if it's the Flyers announcers, who cares? All right, so I'm gonna hang. You're gonna hang up, and then I'm gonna use the same phone. I'm gonna look at my text messages. I'm gonna play something from there.
Bye.
Okay, bye, Scott. All right. Well, we are gonna wrap up in a moment, but we have breaking news, according to Scott, and we have breaking news. We don't just leave. We break that news. That hasn't come through yet. That hasn't come through yet, but it will. My breaking news thing cut off. Oh, there it is. Come on. All right, here's what Scott sent. The quote says, "I think we're still on the air, Tim." All right, let's do it. Got to put this back up and press play. Here we go. Flyers audio yesterday.
Sometimes the Flyers get a sense of urgency when they're playing from behind. Now they're going to take the TV timeout. We'll take it as well. 7 gone in the third. It's 3-2 Buffalo on the Philadelphia Flyers broadcast network. Pump it up, it up, it up, it up. While you're down there, would you mind blowing me?
I think we're still on the air, Tim. No, we're not, are we?
Sometime.
What's up, y'all? Showtime,
wait.
Sham.
Let's do it one more time. That's great.
Sometimes the Flyers get a sense of urgency when they're playing from behind. Now they're going to take the TV timeout. We'll take it as well. 7 gone in the third. It's 3-2 Buffalo on the Philadelphia Flyers broadcast network. Pump it up, it up, it up, it up. While you're down there, would you mind blowing me?
I think we're still on the air, Tim. No, we're not, are we?
You definitely are. Tim Saunders, main Philly broadcasters or longtime play-by-play voice Tim Saunders and color analyst Todd Fedoruk, working with Beasley Broadcast Group's flagship station. Though Saunders recently faced a 2-game suspension for a not safe for work hot mic incident with Brian Smith, the Flyers director of broadcasting, filling in. So maybe that was not from last night's game, and this already happened recently, and the suspension has taken place. Yeah, that did happen. Where is the story? Now I have to find the story. There it is. An hour ago. Huh? Maybe it was last night. Oh, and the suspension is starting now. So, yeah, because they were saying Buffalo in the thing. So that was last night's game. It just happened. I can't open the article because it's a paywall thing. But, okay, so he's been suspended 2 games for saying that into a hot mic. Always remember, we have to, Scott and Paul and I have done this for a long time, and we still, every now and then, are like, oh, are we, your mic is still up, or, this is why we like having a good producer back at the station, because when we go to break, when Paul says, on Learfield, we're supposed to be done, and we're supposed to be down, and it doesn't always work out that way. So it's a lesson that every broadcaster learns at some point. That mic that you think is off might be on. I had it happen yesterday. Nothing bad happened, but during a break, I was calling Ray to get him on the show, Ray Walter. and there was music playing, but also I didn't turn the microphone off. So the mic was off to the side, but it was still up. So you could tell I was talking. You could still hear the conversation, especially when the music wasn't playing. It was like during a commercial. Somebody's like, yo, your mic's on. Got to watch out for that. But there's a reason you don't say those sorts of things in a studio. Or in a booth, rather, during a live broadcast. That was great. All right, thank you for that, Scott. Appreciate it. Now we'll stop the show. Once I hit a song. Not this. What do you want to hear? I'll be back Monday. I can't pick anything. This is why I have random. That's why I have shuffle. I'm not picking.